The Führer has been convinced. He has been convinced. And the utter destruction of the British Empire is necessary. We must defeat one enemy before starting a war with another. So, we are not going to just trust in the Italians to hold the Mediterranean. We are going to secure the Mediterranean before we move east. That is going to be the goal. Hello, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3's Black Ice. Before we get into that, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Did you like the intro? Was it worth it? Was it dramatic enough? I know I don't do drama well. I've seen a lot of you like this view. Easier to watch, I understand. Okay, so we're attacking in there. Let's push here. Freiherr von Funk. We did have some of our bombers attacking there. Down here. Okay, let's put these guys out. Naval striking around here. Yeah, big area. And these guys, air intercept around here. So if you find some British air units, intercept them. Okay, direct fire unit training is advanced. Okay, good. I know I say these a lot. I get tired of saying them. I just know that we shouldn't go quite, in command and control, go quite silent on things. Our blueprints are stolen. Hopefully it was by a friend. Amphibious unit training. Almost a 41, so we can start doing some of the critical 42 technologies. So we'll start this. I know this will give us a thing up here as inefficient research. That. But just for a few more days. Hopefully I can ignore it enough. Okay, you've got supplies, get moving. They had been flying the supplies, now they can fly it to there. Well, they can come this way. What does Finland want? Yes, we'll give you them energy. Give them energy, yes. Okay, well, let's just forestall their reinforcements by hitting them as they're moving north. Fonthoma. Yeah, I think trying to encircle here is a good idea. Major victory. Here you go. We get Belgrade. Well, we made them all want to retreat out of Belgrade at least. And there we go. We got Belgrade. Okay, still can't quite. With the surrender of Yugoslavia. I'm gonna overrun these troops. So they don't get to escape. Looks like right in here could use some sort of supplies, not quite sure what, but let's send in supplies. Gonna keep these forces moving. Okay, hangar bay maintenance advance. Right, okay, that is here, and I guess we'll let that continue. Okay, so both artillery brigades have advanced, and they're going down fine. We won that battle, we won that battle. Oh, there we are. Conquered Yugoslavia. Now there are some weak forces still around that we need to immediately push on. Right. Now we're going to get a chance to form some of our other things here, I hope. But I think, well, before we do any more of this, okay, let's save. Let's continue going, I think. Yeah. I think I should attack into the mountains. We don't have many units there. Thought we might. Oh, well, there. Okay, there we go. Going after a bunch of ships. Yeah, I know we're going to lose a few provinces temporarily. Unlimited national emergency. We need to follow up into Greece with a lot of these forces. Obviously. Do I need to state that? No, but Yes, I will. Okay, your HQ is way up there. So let's detach and see if we can attach. There we go. That's more in theater. We can support this unit's attack there. Okay. People and their pet projects. Okay, now we're into January, so a lot of stuff we can do. Right. Well, first, let's see about some pushing ahead on some of these. More manpower, yeah. That would be useful. Get that going earlier rather than later. Okay, so we used to TRE. I know I keep saying this, but not everyone watches every video. Okay, yeah, okay, so we have all four of them already. Okay, so we don't need more. We have national highways, which TRE gives, and that's, I think Germany should start with that. So they normally do these three: manpower, production efficiency, supply throughput for railroads, and mining, which takes a big chunk of manpower, which sort of balances out. I mean, a total of 5% additional manpower. Yeah. ICs here. Yeah, because part of what you're doing with these ICs is you're making equipment that, say, because it says metal, and we really sort of know it as primarily steel, because I think aluminum would come under rare materials, and Germany has a severe copper shortages, that they're using mild steel or maybe even iron ammunition, uh, instead of brass. Brass. Call the cartridges and things like that. So that, yeah, no, so that's sort of rare materials, copper. I don't know. In this game, so you're making equipment that makes more steel, that shapes more steel, makes more armor plates, makes more other stuff. Some of your ICs are going into more mining equipment and transportation equipment, though we do have railways. So, and crude oil could be ICs, again, going for synthetics. So, yeah, I see that. But we don't need long term. So, we're going to do economic boost short term. So, that will give us a lot, or 10% more ICs, which is very useful. Annual espionage focus. Okay, well, political spying support. Yeah, I think we're going to do willing go political spying. And then I think we will go with annual national focus. Now, we had been doing Reich economics, which is 15%. IC boost. Manpower bonuses. I'm a little, not terribly comfortable with my manpower right now. So, yeah. Armaments. Yeah, I think we'll just do this. Build new factories. Good. So we'll get 2 armaments, 2 artillery, and 2 manufacturing plants. Very nice. Now, upgrade the which I think is really more create. Oh, it does remove Wallin Schutz Battalion and where the 2 Wallonian units, wherever, whatever they are. Hopefully nothing terribly important. And %4 ICs down till April. Okay, I guess. Now, foreign recruitment, foreign Wehrmacht in recruitment. Let's see. Well, this will allow no need to. Okay. National manpower bonus 5% plus gain 75 manpower. Supplies leadership organization down. Yes, there was foreign recruitment in the Wehrmacht. It varied from time to time as how that, including a lot of Russians. Supplies down 5%. Leadership modifier down 2%. Well, I guess we can handle that. Or 2.5%. And organization down. And organization. I think we will allow this. So it is not unhistorical. Okay, let's give you a leader. We can send you here, I guess. Or maybe send him over here. Make sure we keep our forces facing the Soviets fairly high. Was it Kepler? God, I don't know. Steiner. It's Steiner. Well, we'll give it to Steiner. I forget who commanded. Could I have a Wallonian battalion in here? Getting a little overly historical here. Especially as seeing we have both Germania and Nordland, Westland. That. Oh, guys. It wasn't 20,000 man strong division. It was not. It was like maybe a 10,000 man, 15,000 man strong division. Plus you have that battalion. You don't have other things. I don't. I don't know. So all those things, but well, why not put a Northland and a Westland? No, it should just be that. I don't know. They're gonna go probably pull these Wallonians off here fairly soon. Okay. One unit of interceptors certainly. Where's the air war going? We need to check the air war out. A bunch of battles, not terribly many bombings, it looks like. Good. Let's check this naval war going. Well, where's the unit for? Oh, there. Oh, they're okay. They're way up there. Well, you're not getting anything, so let's move you to your long range submarine. So let's move you to there with passive. These guys are still getting something. They're getting nothing, so let's move back. Now let's move. Can we move all the way down to? You're right. Okay, we're gonna convoy rate again. Passive down there. Okay, they've gotten a few. Let's move you up over off the Bahamas, maybe. Just because the point is to sink convoys. There's convoys moving around, so we want to sink them. It isn't so much to sink particular convoys, it's to sink them. We have been doing some significant damage, I think. Okay, small arms factories, artillery, good. French workers, I guess, good. Oh god, more of this crap. I know we have the money. It's not. Oh, it's too difficult or too easy or too hard or anything like that. It just the unhistorical, It's not the way the game was designed. And you go, well, they're redesigning things. Yeah, I know, but it's still. Money is designed in this game to be purely an international means of exchange. That international is sort of the key in my mind about all this. Okay. Yeah, you come down like that. Okay, coast support advance. Those air support advance, and I think that is This one here, grayed out. Okay, good, I guess. That allows me to come up here. I want to do rocket theoretical jet engine. Let's do that. Fate of the Yugoslavia. Yes, we need the ships. Okay, well, we at least have the support here in split. So what we're going to do now is immediately drop this in here and come here and do that. Then we're going to combine all of these into one, because unfortunately, if just anything touches these guys, they sink. And we don't want that to happen, so hopefully we will not have them get touched, but even if something sort of kind of does touch there, maybe they'll go after something that has a little more. I want blockade runner if we can find it that's reasonably decent, because we don't want to be, this force is not designed to engage anybody, purely to be able to move forces around the Mediterranean. Okay, so we've at least achieved for the time being that we have ships in the Mediterranean that we can get forces to North Africa with. We're going to have to be careful. We're going to have to wait till they are fully organized up and reinforced. We may split some of the forces eventually, but we will see. But at least that is the coming thing. Well, the Italians are actually doing fairly well down here. Now that we've got things connected. Okay, twin engine Bombay. Yeah, that doesn't need to be a year in advance, and we can pursue here. Okay, I guess. You really like my destroyers, don't you? Okay, well. Right, okay. So transfer something to railway and heavy artillery. It's about as closely, okay. Okay, so they're here. Okay, so we have a railway artillery. Don't know how good that is going to be. See, we can look at this thing here. It's not very useful here in this game. Why did the Germans do this then? Because we can see here, hard attack 0, soft attack just 1. I mean, this garrison unit has soft attack 13. So yeah, what good is this? Really here, really nothing. And I may decide to move it because we can see here it does have fort defense. Okay, do we have, okay, well, coastal fort. I don't know if that counts. It could help a little bit if we had a fort here. I don't know if it helps with coastal forts. It's obviously you cannot amphibious attack. What it is a modifier for fort attack and urban attack. Now, why did the Germans move these here if they're so terrible? Well, what they're good for, that the Germans thought, is to shoot at ships and to shoot at landing craft and things like that. So maybe it should have. Okay, you're going to transport that. I know it's a lot of escort just to transport a division, but you're going to do it because you have orders to do it. It is too much, obviously, to transport, or to to assign to transport the units, but it's not too super much. Or I mean, the idea is they would have used significant transport, I do believe. Just not that much. Okay, torpedo boat. These aren't, again, motor torpedo boats. These are... I don't know. Classifications get sort of screwy. But they'd be somewhere between, or somewhere similar to a frigate. Much like the U.S. Army does, or the Army, U.S. Navy does not use frigates. They use destroyers. Frigates are generally smaller than destroyers. But these torpedo boats, they're sort of like within the, and like the British, I don't know if the British were using frigates during World War II. I don't know, or classifying things, but they definitely classified things like corvettes, the Flower class, the Canadian built, which were supposedly god awful in the sea, but they were cheap and they wanted a lot of them. So it's compared to the Flower class, these guys, these torpedo boats, are much faster, much more maneuverable. The Germans did use torpedo boats as a class. These probably did have, during the war, anti-submarine capabilities, pretty sure of that. But it's, they're just not sort of quite in the Germans' mind, and with some of these really proper ships, though they often may have ship categories in their name, but yeah, you sort of get it. They're sort of small. They're not the motor torpedo boats, which are these guys here. These are, click here. These guys are like that are sort of like that, but are not as big as that. That is a Fletcher class destroyer. So yeah, it's the terms. Frigate and corvette go back to the days of sailing, where destroyers, the proper name for the destroyer. Okay, I keep doing this. I know. Hope it's interesting. Corvettes were basically sort of the smallest thing. We could go into more detail, but you can probably find some of the stuff over on Chinaful's great channel on shipping. But corvette is sort of the smallest sailing vessel that's a ship, categorized as a ship for like the Royal Navy. And then you have frigates that are above that, and they're sailing vessels. The names transfer into the age of engines when obviously sails go away. Torpedo boats, they come about because of the torpedo is in their name. Earliest torpedoes really are just sea mines. to the, when they say damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, I forget which captain says that in the U.S. Navy when they're going into one of the Confederate harbors because they spot torpedoes or whatever. And those are basically just floating mines that are, tethered down. Torpedoes at the time were that. And again, where does the term torpedo come from? Well, it comes from a worm. In the age of sail, early on, once they start getting out into the the Caribbean and places like that, they start getting these worms that would attach themselves to the ship, and they wanted to create a home for themselves. And so ships attracted all kinds of interesting things around them, weeds growing on them or whatever. So they go there and they would slowly bore through the hull of the ship, because those wooden holes were thick, were not just 2 or 3 inches thick, but 8, 10, 12, 20 inches thick. I don't know, depending on the ship. And so they would bore through and create a sort of a tube that they would line with something that was sort of like a shell, a mucus that would harden into a shell. Well, eventually it'd end up going through the ship, and then water would come through. So torpedo was, I guess, somehow blowing out or destroying the underside hull of a ship, because the torpedo worms, as they were called, and they got the name long before any sort of destructive device. The destructive device comes from the torpedo worm term. So they come out late 19th century, figuring out these torpedoes that are, have a propulsion, and they go through the water and they hit under the hull and blow up. Most of the big ships, some of the armor is going a little bit below the hull just because, shells coming in, but not so much. So a big explosion below the armor plating just blows the hull out of them. Well, okay, some big vessels do get torpedoes on them, but they sort of figure out, well, hey, now you can build these small, fast, new engine type vessels that can lethally blow up battleships, because aircraft carriers and whatever didn't exist yet. Airplanes didn't exist yet when these are starting to happen. So they have these torpedo boats that are various types. They only have some guns on them, but their main purpose is to be a small ship, if you will, about as small a ship as you can sort of get. Partially because, speed, small target. When they get blown out of the water, you're not losing too many men and not an expensive vessel, because they expected some to be blown out of the water. But hey, lose 2 or 3 of these cheap vessels and sink a battleship? Well, you've just probably killed, or because a lot of guys are going to drown, die in the explosion. Some may, not drown in the ship, whether they get picked up or not later, depending on when the battle is. But you're probably going to have a lot more death and destruction on the enemy side than you're going to have on yours by losing a couple of vessels. So you're as a Navy, very willing to lose a couple of vessels and light vessels in an attack. It's not meant to be a suicide attack either, because there's like 6, 8 of these, torpedo boats going out there, going after a bunch of battleships. So a few of these torpedo boats are going to get blown out of the water. But they're going to put a bunch of torpedoes. Torpedoes are expensive. They're not necessarily more expensive individually than a torpedo boat, but depending on where, when, and what, the torpedoes they launched may be more expensive than the torpedo boat themselves, depending on some of the economics of all of it. I don't know in detail, but torpedoes were and are damned expensive. But so that's what they were, and these become a very big threat to battleships, because that's the main thing, but also cruisers, battle cruisers, whatnot. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, of course, you put anti-torpedo boat measures on battleships. Battleships historically, and even before the torpedo boats show up, tend to have a lot of smaller guns on them, because they still are in the idea of the 18th century and early 19th century, in that you're actually going to use your big guns as you're getting closer and closer, but eventually you're going to come in almost broadside to broadside. So those little guns are going to come into play eventually, of being useful. I think they don't really end up being that way once you're getting into like the dreadnought classes. But these smaller guns are used to shoot at torpedo boats. Well, torpedoes tend to have a fairly long range in battleships because they want to keep them operating in a line of battle, so they're not maneuvering a lot. It becomes a bad target. So what are you going to do? You want to put another bunch of small vessels out as screening forces, out in between your main line of battleships and the enemy line of battleships. They're not going to bother shooting at these other small vessels because they're shooting at the battleships because they're the important thing. Well, what are you going to call these new vessels that they are? Well, you're going to call them the purpose that they are. They're torpedo boat destroyers. They eventually drop the torpedo boat and just keep the destroyer name. That's where the name destroyer comes from, is because they're torpedo boat destroyers. And of course, well, since we have these vessels, why not put torpedoes on them? Oh, well, submarines are a thing. Well, let's put some anti-submarine stuff on them. Oh, aircraft are a thing now. Let's put anti-aircraft. So they end up becoming a jack of all trades. But yeah, that's sort of the name history. And I think it's important to understand the name history of these vessels, because when you see torpedo boat, I don't know how they really are done in this game well, and if they are done well. But I see something that is light, fast, particularly set up to launch torpedoes at big battleships or big ships, and then try to get out of the way. Shoot off all your torpedoes, and then you get to go home, basically, because you serve no other purpose. Where a destroyer is a more persistent, larger crewed vessel, then, well, maybe if you're the tactical situation you're going to get in, you're going to spew out all those torpedoes. But then afterwards, you've got a lot of anti-aircraft guns. You're going to try to protect your ships from air attack, or you're going to run around and do a lot of anti-submarine operations. Oh, and generally speaking, destroyers are going to be able to operate in bigger oceans like the Pacific, generally speaking, or transatlantically, meaning running around the Atlantic as a whole, where torpedo boats, I don't really think many of the German torpedo boats could effectively leave a European harbor and then go operate on their own, if you will, without supply vessels off the American coast. You could probably get stats. Well, they have enough fuel and they could carry enough water. But yeah, how many days are they going to be able to operate there without a lot of supporting vessels? Where a destroyer, yeah, no problem. They can go wander up and down the American coast for a while and go back home. If there's nothing, if they're not expending their torpedoes, if they haven't been sunk by aircraft or whatever, they can go and they have the operational ranges. Where the corvettes that the British were, well, it's more the Canadians were building, yeah, they can make it transatlantically, but they can't operate transatlantically in the sense that they can get from one side to the other side of the Atlantic. And that's what they were designed to do, because they were designed to escort slow-moving convoys and then get resupplied on the other end and escort the convoys back. It wasn't like that they were designed to leave Canada and wander around the European coast like if it had been captured all, including Britain, all by the Germans, and then go back. They don't have that kind of proper operational ranges, where again, like a destroyer would. So these names that they use here partially are talking about the hull, the size of the ship, the size of the hull, the size of their ship, however you want to look at it. But it's also talking about their role. It's what they're designed to do. Sure, torpedo boats by late World War II are getting a lot more anti-aircraft guns. And they're going to be better than nothing next to the Tirpitz or something trying to shoot down, Allied aircraft. But they're not going to do nearly as well as a proper destroyer as amount of firepower. So you sort of need to understand terminologies and then get their roles in operations. Okay, well, I am really right now thinking of trying to focus a lot of my Look at leadership supply. Well, I think we're going to continue to push more supply. The more supplies we're producing, the less we have to put ICs specifically into supplies per whatever. Expand an airbase, I guess, because that's random. Because the AI gets them. The AI doesn't plan to do base as well. It's not entirely a bad idea for Greece to come up and try to support the Yugoslavs, but they just don't get there soon enough with enough vessels to be properly. Well, you know what we could do here is, yes, let's see if we can drop this into here. Not like, oh, damn. Not letting me switch this out. We need 2 units over here to keep. Hell. Well, we'll keep working on that. A little frustrated about that. I know if I paid more attention to it, I could get that unit out before the event removes the unit entirely. Tactical air support advance, and I think that is grayed out and is here. Armor spearhead organization. And those are all very good and very useful, but considering those, we're going to do these. Make sure we're doing as much as that as we can. It's going to take a while to get these even organized up properly. Hopefully we'll be able to help the Italians. These are destroyer escorts, which are, I think, the sort of US term for frigate or something. It's just sort of a way of saying even smaller destroyer, basically. Okay, well, these guys have moved. The ships have moved the air unit to there, so we're going to rebase to here. This air unit here now is going to start its journey south. We'll send it to here to split because it's both a port and an airport, airbase. Okay, elite commando units advance, allows research of other stuff. Okay, so we can use air commando brigade, allows construction of strike commandos. Midget submarines and commando unit training. Okay. Yeah, we want to do commando unit training. don't know that we're going to do midget submarines anytime soon, because last I checked with this game, they are useless. More useful, well, yeah, they have their uses in reality for sure, but let's gain motor torpedo boats. Yes, let's come up here. Okay, electronics. Considering your radio, delay between attacks reduced. I'm just feeling a little bit of the pressure of low ice seas. You know, maybe you're looking, going, hey, you don't have as many, I know, but okay, auxiliary fuel tanks, which will increase the range of our transports. Okay, speed. We like speed. We also like invasion speed, which gets the invasion done and over, so that it doesn't take as long. Well, I think we'll do that. Not rushing things right now because, well, so far the Italians are doing okay. So I don't think I need to push hard into them. Into North Africa, I think securing Greece is sort of the thing right now to do. This looks like maybe the key spot to send in air supply. Okay, there could be air, like closer range or supply in. These are a bunch of divisions. Okay, right, let's. Nope, not you. How do I SR down here in cores? I think I SR down here. Let's show them ahead of their supplies. You just keep moving because you're faster. You come here and then into there to help fight in the mountains. Oh, we just jumped up very high. We lost a lot of some of our negative penalties here. Okay. Well, what do we want? Everything. Yes, yes. Well, we could use more flying boats, more naval bombers. Create a commando unit. I like the sound of that. There's a lot of work needs to be done. Well, that certainly isn't. Is it not working? Is it bugged? Thought it was going to give us a unit. I don't know. Oh, it's here. Okay. It's in the production line. Fine. I thought they pulled all those out. Okay, second Panzer Group. Second Panzer Group. He's down here because he is eventually supposed to invade Crete and things. Okay, ships are here. We're gonna put you on board the ships, and then the ships are going to come up over to here. Pick up. No, not transport. Rebase. These guys are flying air cover for them, sort of, or not so much air cover, anti-ship operations. Switzerland, yes, you can have energy. Very good. And we'll save this. Well, I think we're going to end this here. I want to thank you all for watching, those that made it this far. I really do appreciate it, guys. See you next time for even more Hearts of Iron.